Hi y'all, so back in here with another episode of the Indigo Podcast, and today I'm gonna be giving y'all 5 tips on how to get better at running, because I think a lot of people might be curious about running and they might want to get into it, but it might look a little bit intimidating to certain people, especially like cross country 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons. They're like, bro, like why would you ever do that? But just like anything, if you apply yourself and you're intentional and you're consistent, you can get better at it if you really want to. So I got 5 tips here, and we're gonna start with the first one. So the first one I got is evaluate yourself, because before you start running, before you start anything, you got to take stock of where you're at. Like, are you literally just starting? You've never really ran at all in your life. Maybe you played golf, or you just played. I mean, they run in basketball, but basketball conditioning and running conditioning or base building is 2 different things. So let's just say you're a beginner pretty much, or maybe you're intermediate. You've been running for a little bit, but you're still trying to learn, and you still are kind of grasping the space a little bit. And maybe you're an expert. You've been doing it for years and years on end. You've done cross country, you've done track. You pretty much know most of it, even though you can still learn. So just take stock of where you're at and make sure you're realistic and you have specific goals tailored to where you're at, because you probably shouldn't be, David Goggins did it. He never ran 100 miles and he went out and, did his thing, but I wouldn't advise it because you can get injured very easily. But let's say you never ran before. I want to run a 100-miler. If you ask me that, I would probably say no. Well, actually, I'd probably say yeah, but I mean, in theory, it's not the smartest thing, because you will you'll get injured and you'll be hurting pretty bad for a long period of time, and it'll take you even longer to get back into running. But just make sure you're aware of where you're at, and that is specifically aligned with your goals and what you want to do in the sport. But first thing I just wanted to address, just make sure you evaluate yourself and take stock of where you're at. But next thing, and this is one of the biggest things in my opinion, easy miles. It helps me a lot, because I've mentioned before, I used to train for the 400. I used to run the 400. That's like my main event. In the junior year, in the behind the scenes, I was doing like 2 to 4 mile runs, just building aerobic base, because that's just how I like to train personally. Because I saw people like Nick Baer, Elijah Orr, Jeremy Miller, just a bunch of runners that I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, and I feel like that's more of my lane. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about y'all and all of us. So anyway, logging easy miles, it builds a foundation. It builds the endurance that carries over into your tempo runs, VO2 max workouts, track workouts, longer runs, anything that's above your threshold or whatever. So pretty much the way you gauge what a easy run is, because easy is subjective from person to person, because everyone's different. Pretty much it's the Maffetone method. So you get 180 subtracted by your age. So 180 minus 17, because I'm 17. Quick math. Hold on. Well, I have a calculator. Hold on. Let's see. Because I can't think of that off the top of my head. Y'all probably shaking y'all head right now. Hold on. Let me see. 163. So that's my max aerobic heart rate. That's not my max heart rate. That's my max aerobic heart rate. So all of my easy runs should be below that. I mean, because Garmin has a zone. Another way to describe it is zone 2. So you should either be in zone 2 or below your max aerobic heart rate. That's a good gauge to know, okay, am I running an easy run or am I running an all-out sprint? You know what I mean? So good way to do that is the Maffetone method, like I just said. And once you find that, you can track that with your wrist. The watches are pretty inaccurate, to be honest. They pull it from your wrist, like I just said. So it's not the most accurate. Obviously, a chest strap would be more accurate. Or now Coros, they have a bicep or arm type strap thingy thing that can go on your arm. So if you prefer the arm strap or the chest strap, do whatever you want to do. Do whatever works best for you and track it that way. That's the most accurate way to track it. But if you want to track with your watch, just kind of play it with a grain of salt, because it can be a little bit off. But just wanted to state that if you really want to track it for real, because I know a lot of people are into that, and that can help be more direct with your training. But anyway, easy miles should be the base of your training. It should be around 80%. Maybe if you run the 400, it could be like 40%. But let's say you're a longer distance runner, base building or easy miles should be 80% of your training. The other 20 should be VO2 max workouts, track workouts, tempo workouts, and your long runs. But just make sure you're building the foundation, logging some easy miles, and not running super egregiously hard, okay? Not during the easy runs. And that goes right into what I'm about to talk about. 3, take your easy days easy and run your hard days hard. Because I see a lot of people, I've ran at people and they'll go out guns blazing hot, it looks cool. Like, if you can hold that, more power to you. Like if you can hold a 6:15 pace and it's easy, because a lot of runners are that skilled, they can hold a 6:15 pace and call it easy. That's for you personally. But I see a lot of people, they're running 7-minute pace and their easy pace is 8 minute per mile. Like it's no. I mean, it looks cool. It can boost your ego, and I mean, I've done something like that before, trying to get in front of people. But in reality, it hurts you more than you think, because you're trying to be occasionally great and go out hard to, I guess, make a point, or just because you think that's the only way you can build fitness, but that's not really how it works. Because when you take your easy days harder than you need to, you can't show up for the long runs. You can't really show up for the track workouts. You can't show up for the fartlek workouts. That might sound goofy, but a fartlek workout is basically speed play. I'll put the definition right there so you don't think I'm crazy. But it takes away from that, because you're not fully recovered and fully primed to lay the bricks down and execute, because you took your easy runs, your 5-mile easy run, pretty much at threshold pace. So you can't really show up the best you can. But I think the main thing is putting your pride to the side, putting your ego to the side, and running your easy pace. Obviously, that easy pace will get better as you get better at running and as you adapt. But if it's an 8:30 pace and you're running a 6-minute pace, you need to run 8:30s consistently. Don't be occasionally great, be consistently good. But main thing is show up for your bigger workouts, because that's when the speed and the leg turnover is built, and take your easy days easy and be intentional with that. But the fourth thing, and I think this is another main thing, because I cook, I make recipes, fueling, and I'm going to put recovery alongside fueling, because they kind of go hand in hand. You got to make sure you're getting enough quality nutrition, so carbs, fats, proteins, micronutrients. Macronutrients is carbs, fats, and protein. I was going to say macro, but it's the same difference. Fruits, you know the whole nine. I don't have to explain it. People know how to eat healthy. It's just, do you want to or not? But the main gist of this, obviously, you're getting enough calories in just for whatever you're doing in a day. But when you add training on top of that, you have to make sure you're recovering session to session so you can show up the best you can. And also, I think another main thing to keep in mind when you're training, especially running, fuel before your training session. So for me, let's say it's a 3 to 5 mile run. That's kind of my gauge for, okay, I'm about to eat this, which I'm about to explain. I'll eat a banana, maybe some not protein powder, peanut butter. I don't know why I said it's 2 words with P in the front, so I said protein powder. But anyway, banana and some peanut butter, that's what I meant to say. And I always do electrolytes. I do 500 milligrams worth of sodium electrolytes. I do BPN electrolytes personally. I'm not sponsored at all. I just like their brand and what they stand for. So if you want to use that, cool. If you don't, you can just get 16 ounces of water, add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I would recommend Himalayan pink salt, but whatever salt you have. Add a little splash of lemon juice, and that's homemade electrolytes. I used to do that until I got the powder. So if you want a more cost-effective version, that's a good way to go about it. You're still getting in your sodium. So back to fueling. That's what I do on my easier days. If it's like pretty low effort, pretty straightforward, just logging some miles, I'll just eat some a little bit smaller. But if it's a big workout, like I have a long run tomorrow, lately I've been doing a half English muffin, I'll do a banana, and I'll do peanut butter. But if it's like a heavier, let's say I ran 10 miles, I'd put agave syrup on there to get the carbs up a little bit, so my glycogen stores, that's a handful of words, glycogen stores will be topped off so I can be fueled for the training session. But yeah, that's mainly for my track workouts, tempo workouts, long runs, just harder efforts. That's when I'll load up more on carbs. If it's just an easier run, you probably don't need that many carbs. I would probably say 20 to 30, maybe 40 is pushing it. So that would be like a banana, a handful of dates, something like that. That'd be a good option for that. And also electrolytes, I kind of mentioned that a little bit. If you live in Texas, well, it's getting a little bit cooler now because it's September, but if you live in Texas, you need electrolytes, because I mean, if you're eating a more processed diet, you're probably getting way more than enough sodium. But let's say you eat pretty whole food based diet and you eat pretty healthy, you probably want to supplement with sodium through electrolytes and salt your food to make sure the electrolyte balance from potassium, magnesium, and all the other electrolytes. I'm not going to name them all off the top of my head, but just make sure that's all in balance so you can make sure you're fueled and you can recover. But like I said, I recommend BPN's electrolytes. They're a pretty good brand, but there's also Noon. Maybe I think Tailwind has electrolytes, and LMNT. Those are some good brands too. So I check those out if you're interested. But last thing I want to go, well, second to last thing. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna save this for last because this is more important than the thing I was about to say at the last part. But I'd recommend a foam roller and a lacrosse ball because these are very cost-effective ways to get in myofascial release. So this will relieve any tightness, soreness, anything that's kind of out of whack. You know, you can lay your foam roller on the ground, maybe with a yoga mat. Roll out your back, your legs, your quads, hamstrings, maybe even your lats, just to make sure everything's good and you feel the best as possible for your workouts. And then also a lacrosse ball or a massage ball rolls out your feet to make sure there aren't any knots. So I remember I had a huge knot in my foot, and I was using the massage ball, and it took a while, but it got the job done. But just making sure you're not knotted up and throw it off before your workouts. But last thing I wanted to delay because I think this is really important, and I'm really trying to work on this: sleep. Because I noticed, I mentioned this before, you can get away with like an hour or two of poor sleep, but once that third day hits, it starts to creep up on you, and it does not feel good. So just make sure you aim for around 7 to 9 hours. Obviously, you could probably be at like 6 hours and 50 minutes. Like, that's cool, but just make sure it's around there. Because to be honest, anything under 6.5, I don't really feel the most ideal. I can still run, obviously, but just try and get the best sleep you can to make sure you recover and you can show up for your workouts and your runs. But last thing I want to talk about, and I think is one of the most important things, is just endure the process. Just like anything, improving your running takes time. I mean, I learned that just going from running the 400 to now running 5Ks and stuff. So just trust your training, trust your coach if you have one, and just trust the process. And main thing, I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it until I grow old: be consistent. I've seen the power of it, especially in running, because running's like my main thing other than lifting. So just be consistent, stay patient, stay down, wait, and just watch the splits get faster, because they will get faster if you stay consistent, you're intentional, you fuel, you sleep the best you can, you hit your easy days easy, you hit your hard days hard, you evaluate where you are and appreciate the journey and appreciate the process, and before you know it, you'll be getting better and doing better in terms of you and your standards. But just stay focused on your running journey, learn, experience, and don't be afraid to lean into discomfort, because especially in 5Ks, like after that first mile, your legs will be heavy. So just lean into that, stay consistent, don't get discouraged, and just get 1% better every day. So that's my little 5 tips on how to get better at running, because I love running, and I think that can help y'all get even better at running if you're interested. But that's episode 44, I believe, and I'm going to see y'all next time.